Finasteride isn't killing my sex drive today, see?
No, not today.
Not today, yeah?
No, the other days, poof.
Finasteride doesn't work on the... What's up folks, it's Uranus, we're in Brussels, welcome to another video. So today we're talking about Finasteride and I will give you my review of 4+ years on Finasteride. It's a potent 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, it's FDA approved and it's mainly used for benign prostatic hyperplasia or for treating androgenic alopecia. Basically, it blocks 70% of the conversion of your testosterone into DHT. So it does not block DHT like a lot of people think, but it blocks the conversion of testosterone into DHT. I started using this medication at the beginning of 2021 because I suffer from androgenic alopecia and my hair loss was getting to a point of no return. That's why I started using Finasteride. I actually started using it before minoxidil. Usually it's the other way around. Now, Finasteride is not something to be taken lightly because it can and it will have side effects. Now, for most people taking Finasteride, it's very tolerable, very manageable, but for a slight percentage of people out there, it can literally turn their life into a living hell. And even after stopping the drug, they can still have some side effects that last forever. Now, we will talk about my positives, my negatives, hormonal changes, sexual sides, my blood work, and mental sides. And before I start, none of this is medical advice. I'm just a simple dude from Brussels telling his own freaking story. And another thing before we start, this review will be coming from a person that is on testosterone replacement therapy. I would never be on Finasteride if I wasn't on TRT. Alright, c'est parti. First of all, the positives. There has to be a point into taking Finasteride, right? Now, I'm on 1 milligram per day. Well, correction, I'm actually on 125 milligram per day because they come in 5 milligram tabs and I cut them into 4 pieces. So it significantly slowed down my hair loss. Basically, I still had a perfect hairline up until the point I was 25, almost 26 years old, and I started hormonal replacement therapy. That is the first time that my hairline was exposed to DHT and other androgens. And without knowing it, slowly that miniaturization process had begun. Now, of course, at the time, I didn't know that I had male pattern baldness genes in my body, because before that, basically, my hairline was still perfect and I had hair growing on my freaking forehead. I had no idea that secretly my hair follicles had started to die as soon as I was on HRT. On top of my genetics, I fucked up. I manipulated my own mind into using selective androgen receptor modulators multiple times. Unfortunately, I greatly regret that, but the first time was to recover from a big injury in the gym that I had sustained. At that time, I was on antibiotics, anti-inflammatory, SARMs, and I had high testosterone levels in my blood. Basically the perfect shitstorm for hair miniaturization. Of course, being a man and an idiot, it still took me a year, almost 2, to accept that I was losing my hair and to think about doing something about it. With Finasteride, I managed to slow down my hair loss greatly and pretty much keep it stable. I didn't gain any ground, but I didn't lose any ground either compared to years ago. I actually have to correct the previous statement because it's quite funny. If you really look closely at the areas where hair loss is at its worst, I can always see little peach fuzz hairs regrowing since the time I started Finasteride, but they never grow out, probably because they are still weak and still being attacked by androgens. So it's almost starting to regrow in those areas and then it's always falling off because probably I still have a high dose of testosterone running through my body and that DHT, some of it is still there. In the meantime, I'm also on minoxidil, so I'm actually on the big 3. I'm on Finasteride, minoxidil and ketoconazole shampoo, but I wanted to focus on Finasteride only because it is the most impactful one for hair loss. It does what it's supposed to do, but at what cost? Now let's talk about my blood work and about side effects. What you need to know is that I basically live all year round with slightly higher testosterone levels than what I'm supposed to have. My total testosterone is always between 1200 and 1400 nanograms per deciliter. That's outside of the range, and my free testosterone is actually twice as big as the higher end of the reference range. I'm on 125 milligrams of testosterone per week, split into 2 dosages of 62.5 milligrams per week. But I'm quite a high responder to TRT. Now, for some reason, my lab here in Belgium does not have DHT testing. I've actually yet to find a lab in Belgium where I can have DHT tested. But basically, we have to do it with androstenediol glucuronide. It's a DHT metabolite, and you can see decreasing from mid-range in the beginning of 2021 to now the bottom of the range. So that's how I can see in my blood work that finasteride is working. What I also noticed is that my free testosterone increased significantly because I am now on a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, and I'm also on an aromatase inhibitor. The fact that you're blocking 70% of your conversion of testosterone into DHT makes you more prone to aromatization because you have more free testosterone floating around, and that is also why I am on Arimidex. Before I was on finasteride on 125 milligrams of test, I didn't need to be on Arimidex. So that sucks. Basically, if you're on TRT and you add finasteride into this story, it can change your hormonal profile, and you might actually have to change your dosages because of the fucking finasteride that you're taking now. So like I said, finasteride is not something to be taken lightly, and if I have to be honest with you guys, what I'm doing isn't 100% sustainable on the long term for the rest of my life, that's for sure. Now let's focus on the side effects, and here I will have to say I will only focus on the side effects I experience the most, because if you read online, people react very differently into taking finasteride. So there are two major problems according to me. The number one problem I experienced with finasteride is that basically, as I said before, it makes estrogen management on TRT a lot freaking harder, because a part of your testosterone can no longer convert into DHT. So you have higher free testosterone. That free testosterone is more likely to convert into estrogen, because remember, your free T is increasing, so you might be more prone to aromatization, and that is why some people can develop gynecomastia on finasteride, because you are upsetting your testosterone to estrogen ratio. Higher estrogen can also tank your mood and your libido. So that's why taking finasteride can actually change a lot of things, because it messes with your estrogen too, especially on higher levels of testosterone. This, combined with the fact that you have 70% less DHT in your body, can make some people literally feel like dog shit. Personally, for me, I was already a roller coaster before starting finasteride, but the ride just got rougher because of it. On TRT, for me, it's a question of constantly regulating your estrogen to that testosterone ratio, because high estrogen will make your cock die and low estrogen will make your cock not function either, so it's constantly adjusting. When I started finasteride, I was moving in with my girlfriend, and it basically affected my libido at that time. Of course, before that, we were only seeing each other in the weekends. You hadn't seen each other all week, and then of course it's like, oh my god, that's a gorgeous looking ass and a pair of tits. Let's grab all of this. And then you're moving together, and tits and ass are there basically 24/7, and you have to adapt living together. And I clearly wasn't hormonally stable back then. Now 4 years later, I still have some ups and downs libido wise, but it's much better than when I started. And I'm on the same dosage of 125 milligrams of testosterone and 1.25 milligrams of finasteride per day. But with me, it's always black or white. You get everything or nothing. Generally, I'm still associated with being a horny dog. Now, those are my partner's lovely words. A good part of my daily thinking capacities are going towards ass. I can't help it. It is what it is. Erectile dysfunction rarely happens, and when it does, of course, I immediately associate it with hormonal issues, and I react like a toddler that just got his candy bar removed. Anyway, conclusion, did it affect my libido? Yes, but not to the point that you read online or what most people think. It definitely did not kill my libido. I had great sex over the last 4 years, but there were definitely ups and downs. Now, that's life too, because sometimes I feel like my libido is dead, and then you put me on a plane to Brazil and it's definitely alive again. The second major problem for me is the lack of neurosteroids. 5-alpha reductase isn't just useful for turning testosterone into DHT. It also plays a significant role into the production of neurosteroids, the stuff that you actually need to think, to use your freaking brain. Allopregnanolone being the most important one. Well, you are definitely affecting that one when you are taking finasteride, and because of that my anxiety increased significantly since I'm on that medication. Now, if you know my history, you know that I've never really been a very normal person and very stable up there, but finasteride definitely didn't help to keep my mental balance up there where it's supposed to be. Now, of course, it's very difficult to quantify realistically this, and also I tend to use finasteride as a scapegoat for a lot of problems. Does it affect my mind? 100% yes, but I have to tell you, I was already a person with a tendency towards depression before starting finasteride. Do inflation and asshole starting wars in Europe affect my mind too? 100% yes. Now, I've had times pretty recently where I was pretty much down up here, and I was down there too, and then I just take my girlfriend, I pack my shit and we take a plane somewhere, and suddenly my mind is high and my cock is high too. Sometimes it's not finasteride, it's just life. The bottom line is, it keeps hair on my head because God knows how much it was making me depressed to go bald, but it makes it much harder to be stable because your testosterone to estrogen ratios can change, the neurosteroids can change, and your libido can go down, except that side effect doesn't count when you're going on holiday apparently. I wish with all my heart that someday they will develop a medication that only targets the DHT that is affecting your scalp and your hair follicles, and not the systemic DHT that you have in your body. Now, for me it's manageable, but for sure this won't be for life. But for now it's manageable. But if you look a bit online, there can be long-standing side effects like post-finasteride syndrome, and there are examples out there of extreme depression. So be careful before starting this shit. Like I said, finasteride is never something to be taken lightly because it can have an effect on your life. For my partner it must be strange too, because I'm always like a box of chocolate. She never knows which version of me she's going to get in the morning. I'm sometimes a bit unstable, but that was already the case before starting finasteride, but it didn't help. The thing I hate the most about it is the anxiety, and that sucks. But I still have hair on my head, right? But anxiety. Alright, so that was my honest review of 4+ years on finasteride. Would I recommend this to anybody else? Fuck no, never. But if hair loss is a major concern for you, there are no easy solutions, unfortunately. Alright guys, let me know in the comments what you thought of my review of finasteride. Let me know in the comments also if you are on finasteride and if you are experiencing side effects. I'll catch you on the next one. Subscribe to my channel. Uranus out.